Good morning. I got something on Bank of America. Now, I think a couple of years ago, they faced a lawsuit against against some people, especially black applicants for racial discrimination. And it's not surprising because Bank of America has always had a record of racial discrimination and racism when it comes to hiring hiring black employees or people of color or discriminating against them. Now, I know their website says that they practice equality and they made it a policy not to discriminate against people of color, sexual orientation, um, say, and handicap or age. But they practiced it and apparently they're facing a lawsuit. But this is not really surprising because banks have always had a poor record of practicing racial discrimination against people of color who are looking for jobs to work at their banks, and also when it comes to business, taking out loans, like say for education and business. Because I've heard stories, including the stories here in Canada, with the likes of Scotiabank and CIBC. They discriminate against people of color when they want to try to borrow money to say like to run a business, like take out a business loan. And I know they're going to say that the applicants don't have a business plan written up, but still they discriminate regardless of whether or not the black applicants have some sort of business plan written up. And it's not surprising. It's not very surprising that Bank of America would stoop so low. And makes me wonder too if these black banks are good enough for black people who want to borrow money to run business, to say set up a business or to pay for their child's education. And yeah, it's pretty bleak. Banking industry is pretty racist. Bank of America, I wouldn't be surprised if other banks followed suit, like say Wells Fargo and basically Washington Mutual Bank, but they merged with another bank and Chase Manhattan or whatever. I have to look up the major banks in the United States, but they do the same thing over here in Canada as well. So CIBC is and Scotiabank and Toronto Dominion Bank. So bank discrimination happens and happens in both countries, Canada and the United States. And Bank of America is no surprise. I don't know why it surprises anybody. I mean, most of these banks they only go for certain applicants, especially white applicants. Even though if even if they don't have a solid business plan, they still lend them the money to run their businesses, and then they pay them back on the basis of their businesses. And black businesses, they don't even get that chance. They can borrow money from them, and the banks want the money back right away from them. And if the businesses goes belly up, then they're history. So bank discrimination is no surprise, especially among black people. We should find ways to set up our own banks and compete against these big banks, but that'll be hard to do when most African Americans don't have the funds to to run a business. They don't even have their own businesses. It's a pretty sad scenario if you think about it. And this bank discrimination is going to continue. Yeah, but regarding jobs, they'll hire a white candidate over a black candidate anytime. Even the banks here in Canada, they'll do this. They practice the same type of racism, racial discrimination in job hiring when it comes to jobs or hiring candidates. And yet most black people, it's sad to say this, they support Bank of America, putting their money, hard-earned money, into their bank. I think the best way to do this is to just take their money out of Bank of America and use it to fund and set up, just to fund a black bank or a bank that's owned by a person of color. So you see, white supremacy is even in the banking industry. It's even, but mainly white supremacy is in economics. Because what do you think controls the banks? All the whites. No black man or black woman owns a bank. Most blacks don't even control the banks in their communities. So that tells you right there that economics plays a big role, and most of the white supremacy controls the economic structure in the United States and around the world. So this banking discrimination is no surprise. That's all.